Hello, this is Amy from Amy's Free Motion Quilting Adventures, and I'm going to do a quick little demo on the TopAnchor Baptist Fan Quilting Template. The owner of TopAnchor has told me that she's got a lot of sit-down long armors who are asking about how to use this template with their sit-down machines. So I'm going to show it to you. It is very tricky, I will tell you that, and I am not stitching on a sit-down long arm. I'm using a Janome 8200. I've got it equipped with the ruler toe. That's something you get from the frame quilting foot set. It goes on the convertible free motion foot set from Janome. That gives it that standard ruler toe with a high lip. Thing you want to remember about any time you use a ruler toe is that that high lip will crash into your needle bar if you drop the needle down with the foot up. That is true for all ruler feet. So we want to drop this foot down and bring up my bobbin thread. I'm not doing a block, this is just a fabric sample, so I'm not really concerned with where the ends of my stitching lines go. For those of you who aren't familiar with what a Baptist fan is, it is just a series of arcs, circle portions of a circle that go from a center point. It's a very traditional quilting design, and this is a full 1/4 inch thick template. So if you are using a low shank machine, you're going to have trouble using this template. If you're using a high shank machine or a sit down long arm, you can give it a whirl. This is one ruler that you do not want to use any kind of sandpaper dots, silicone gripper dots, Velcro dots, whatever product that will keep it from sliding, because this actually does need to slide. Now, when you use this with a long arm, the long arm moves and the quilt sandwich stays in place, and you actually move the template with your long arm. On a sit-down machine, a stationary machine, you've got to move the quilt top independently from the ruler, allowing the ruler to rotate. So like I said, it's tricky. The closer you get to the anchor pin, this is the anchor post or pin here, and that is attached to my quilt. Let me take it off. It is pinned into my quilt. It gives me the pivot point for this whole design. And it just goes on here like that. The farther you get away from, or the closer you get to the pin, the harder it is to do this design. So I'm going to start it off at 4 inches and hope it doesn't give me too much trouble. Now I like to keep one finger on the center of that anchor pin right there, keeping my hands out of the way, and I'm going to just stitch. And I'm just slowly moving my quilt top towards me and trying to keep that foot in that groove. This takes some practice. It is quite possible to use it. I don't know that I would recommend using this ruler to do full circles. It can be done that way. I think people will find it tricky. So now I'm getting close to the edge of my sample, so I'm just going to stitch up until I'm about at the spot, and I'm just going to estimate for my stitching purposes where it lines up with that 6 inch, and I've gone a little past. This has divots for each inch marking, but they're offset. So 4, this is 5, this is 6 over here. But now what I've got to do, I've got it in the right distance from the 4 to the 6, and the numbers refer to the size diameter of circle that these arcs make, so that the 4 inch, it's not 1 inch away from, it's not 2 inches away to make to the 6 inch. It's 1 inch away, but that's because if you did the full circle, it would be 2 inches bigger. Now what I've got to show you is not only do I put it over here because this is lining it up with the 5-inch, the 6 is on this side, I've got to flip it upside down and over here. Now that 6-inch hole, that divot, fits right in there. Let me go ahead and trim my thread ends out of the way. Alright, so the ruler is upside down. It's now in front of my foot. The foot is resting in the divot for the 6-inch mark. Again, I'm going to hold that anchor post kind of still with my finger, and that's just to keep it from wiggling a little bit. Also keeps the template from hopping up off of that anchor post. Now, if you have a magnetic anchor post, some of the TopAnchor quilting tools anchor posts have magnets in them, which is fabulous for a Longarm machine, but is not quite so useful for a domestic machine. The magnets with the domestic machine tend to get too attracted to the machine bed, so we use one that doesn't have a magnet in there most of the time. If you have one with a magnet, you can get a cap for that, and that will basically perform the same purpose as my finger. There I am. I got a little bit off here. You can see there's just a little divot. If you're not careful, you won't follow that arc of the ruler around. And then it starts kind of coming out of the divot. And I'm going to go to the 8-inch divot. Alright, and it sits right in there. After you've done this a while, the spacing and adjusting for the spacing comes pretty naturally. But again, this is still a fairly tricky ruler to use. With enough practice, it can be fabulous. So there you go. That is the TopAnchor Tools Baptist fan template on a stationary machine. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.